on this exquisite autumn afternoon in Kempton Park. It is my immense pleasure to speak. 21 years ago, on the 1st of April to be exact, this beautiful young woman announced her arrival into the Baloyi family. I'm told that the newborn issued a very loud birth cry, and they tell me that she hasn't stopped being loud ever since. I had thought that I will speak on the topic titled to be young, gifted, and flawless. Comes from an old song titled To Be Young, Gifted, and Black by Nina Simone. It also comes from a 2013 song by Beyonce titled Flawless. So I combined the two. Birthdays are not always a big deal in African families. There is, nevertheless, in the life of an African family, no occasion that is more valued or more beautiful than the actual arrival of a newborn. Whereas the English use the metaphor of a bundle of joy to refer to a newborn, in our culture, the birth of a baby is regarded as the nearest a family of commoners may ever come to the status of royalty. For that reason, we welcome a newly born baby with the signature chant, Tim Zalimza, Tim Zalimza.
Kubeleka bukosi.
Tim Zalimza, Tim Zalimza.
Kubeleka bukosi.
Timza, Timza.
Kubeleka bukosi.
Timza, Timza.
Kubeleka bukosi.
Kubeleka bukosi is how we welcome a newborn. In other words, we suggest that we have come as near as it is possible to becoming royalty when we have a newborn in our midst. As we have heard from her mother, this date of the 4th of April in particular holds a much deeper meaning for the family and for Refilwe. It is the exact birthday of her namesake and grandmother, Mrs. Refilwe Constance Baloyi Sr., the wife of Resimati Daniel Baloyi, from whom Refilwe Jr. inherited both her names. 92 years ago, actually, on the 4th of April 1934, that was when the original Refilwe Constance Baloyi was born. There are no words to describe the symbolism or the profundity of the moment we are in as we gather to celebrate the birthday of a youngster named after the great matriarch of the family. More than a mere celebration of the life of a young woman, we are gathered here to connect the dots. To connect the dots of history of the family. As Steve Jobs once said, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. We are here to consider where we come from, where we are, and where we are going. Refilwe, I hope that these two names of Refilwe and Constance, which were handed to you, have not been too heavy on you. And by the way, I know a little about that because when I was born, I was given the name of an uncle of mine who had just passed away, Samuel Maluleke, a school principal and arguably the most educated member of the Maluleke clan at that time. They say I take after him in more ways than I will ever know. So, Refilwe, it is possible that you too take after your grandmother, who is your namesake, especially with regards to your undeniable academic talents, which have been manifested ever since you were at primary school at Kremetat Layer School. And then from Kremetat Layer School, you went through to Kriel Houwer School in Mpumalanga, up until your current studies in chemical engineering at the University of Pretoria. And maybe it is the spirit of your grandmother living in you that drives you to the kind of jazzy, soulful, inspirational African rhythm and blues type music that I'm told you enjoy. Maybe it is the spirit of your grandmother that causes you to join Zoe singing her song Intsha Enenkani. Abangesabi lutho mabethi sifeza amaphupho sicula amahubo. Yebo asibesabi siyabafuna. There is something very profound that she says also in another song, Isegazini, where she says, ngicela ningizwe kahle, ngifuna ukushintsha umhlaba, lento isegazini. It's in your blood. There's something in your blood that you will not be able to explain until you understand the meaning of the name that you have inherited. I do not believe that you woke up one day and fumbled into the Aretha Franklin-like voice of singer Malihlokwa Merihla Lele, aka Male. I believe that there is something older in your genes and in your spirit that responds to that piercing high note denying voice of Male when she sings Utlofita. Lina Utlofita Moki Yang Ting. I was listening to that song as I was walking in here. I don't think you fumbled into it. You were led to it. And yet, it is one thing to inherit materially, to inherit genetically, to inherit spiritually. But it is quite another to achieve. The latter always trumps the former. It's always better to achieve than merely to inherit. In any case, inheritance is always a mixed bag. We inherit the good and the bad, and sometimes we inherit the ugly as well. But what we achieve out of all of it is what truly belongs to us. Parents can build the most conducive and supportive home environments to their children, but some children may still make the wrong life choices. Parents can register their children into the best schools and universities, but parents cannot study and pass for them. Parents may harbor the loftiest dreams and hopes for their children, but only the children can turn those hopes and dreams into achievements. And so, Nelson Mandela was right when he said, it is not what we are given what distinguishes one person from the next. It is what we achieve. It is what we make with what we have in spite of the prevailing circumstances. And yet, the first line in Nelson Mandela's famous biography, Long Walk to Freedom, he appreciates the name he was given at birth, saying in that first line, and I quote him, "The only thing my father bestowed upon me at birth was the name Holihlahla, troublemaker," end of quote. So, Refilwe, it seems to me that the secret of success is that of embracing one's given name or inheritance, but seeking to achieve much more. This then is the challenge you face, a challenge only you can face. Your mother cannot face that challenge for you. Your grandmother couldn't face that challenge for you even if she was still around. None of your aunts and uncles can face it for you. That challenge of balancing what you have inherited and what you must achieve on your own. And part of the reason we can't face the challenge for you is simply that none of us know what it means to be a 21-year-old in the first quarter of the 21st century. We have no clue. We have no idea of what it means to be 21 at this time in history. None of us know what it feels like to be born 10 years into a new democracy. If your generation is called the born frees, ours is a generation of straddlers. We straddle the apartheid era and the post-apartheid democratic era. We straddle the 20th century and the 21st century. We straddle the era of faxes, landlines, telegrams, and public phones. That's where we come from. And now, we are in the era of smartphones and social media. Many of us were Bantu educated, even though we don't say so very loudly. And yet, you know the legacy and the national post-traumatic stress disorder that we are suffering from. You see, you feel, you know the wounds because you yourself, Refilwe, and your peers are wading through a transforming but still untransformed country, especially its higher education sector. And after 30 years of incomplete and floundering, one step forward, 3 steps backwards democracy, you have seen us try very hard to wake up from the nightmare, even as we hallucinate from one delusion to the next. I wish that 21 years later, Refilwe, we could be handing you and your generation to a more sure-footed democracy in which there was no low-intensity war against women. I wish we could today unleash you at 21 with all your talent into safe streets and even safer marital homes, should you choose to go that route. I want to say to you, don't feel pressured. It is nice to be married, but take your time. You are a complete human being before and without marriage. It is not what completes you. You are already complete as a human being. And I do wish, Refilwe, that we could be sending you into a job market that is receptive to females as it is receptive to males. But I'm afraid that is not yet the truth. I wish we could give you a country that is built not on corruption and ineptitude, but a country built on the knowledge economy. But this is the South Africa you have to contend with, you and your age mates. Unfortunately, we have no second South Africa. We only have this one. But hey, Refilwe, I know that you and your generation got this. The fact that you are studying to become a chemical engineer at one of the best universities in this country fills my heart with so much joy and so much hope. As I stand here, I wish I could multiply you by several hundreds, if not thousands. How I wish the young people in our country realized that education is the only escape route available for themselves as individuals, but for the country as a whole. Now, I know all about unemployment, the unemployment figures, and those who are saying we are educated, but we are unemployed, and so on. The truth, however, is that the unemployment rate among youth with qualifications remains far lower than the general unemployment rate. That is a fact. And unemployment does not mean that there are no jobs to do. It also means that there are not enough people able or qualified to do the jobs that need to be done. That, again, is a fact that is often neglected. If you drive or walk into Alexander or Tembisa, or if you walk to Ivory Park or to Soweto, anywhere, and start counting the visible jobs that are screaming to be done, you will be amazed. You will see sewage flowing in the streets. That's a job for several hundred people to do. You will see electrical wires hanging dangerously in the air. That is many jobs waiting to be done. You will see the giant potholes everywhere. You will see the houses that are standing as if they are about to fall. And you will see very little evidence of any town planning going on there. You will see burst water pipes everywhere. There is a lot of work that needs to be done in this country, and not enough people either able, qualified, or willing to do the work. Between government, industry, institutions of higher learning, and young people themselves, there are several crucial conversations we ought to have, and we must begin talking about this very quickly. I mean, when a qualified teacher is sitting at Kahomu, applying for job after job after job, whereas in the village where they live, there's not even a creche. But they are not entrepreneurial enough to think about starting a creche in their village. I spent a bit of time talking about the original Refilwe Constance Baloyi. But on a day such as this, there is another name that must be mentioned. The name of Shamalani Rachel Baloyi, yours and Senzeni's mother. She has done a fantastic job. How she did it, I don't know. And I think she has done an even amazing job with your brother. At this point, I think you and your brother Senzeni should join Judith Sepuma when she sings her famous song, Me Mutswadi. Ikialebuka Me Mutswadi. Umpile lirato, wampumula miyoho, wamputa puta. Wanchirelecha di pifong. Kialebuka Me Mutswadi. Umpile lirato. Wampepa wampepula. This is the day when you and the rest of us say thank you to all these amazing women. However, as we celebrate your milestone, it is advisable perhaps for Manisa Malani and your aunts and the rest of us to remember the words of poet Khalil Gibran in his poem On Children. It's titled. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow." Nina Simone sang "To be young, gifted and black." Oh, what a lovely, precious dream, to be young, gifted and black. And as she sang this, to be young, gifted and black was dangerous, but she was prophetic. And when I look at you and your age mates, I say, oh, what a lovely, precious dream, to be young, gifted and black. Open your heart to what I mean, sang Nina Simone. We must begin to tell our young, there is a world waiting for you out there. Your quest has just begun. And for her part, Beyoncé, in 2013, in her song Flawless, borrows from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, the Nigerian writer, who says, "Why is it that we teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller? Why is it that we say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much? You should aim to be successful, but not too successful, otherwise you will threaten the men." Now I say to you, go on and be ambitious. Don't be afraid of threatening nobody. If they are threatened by your success, they don't deserve you anyway. I do look forward, a few years from now, to being invited again to a function where I will have the pleasure of saying, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Refilwe Constance Baloyi, PhD Nuclear Engineering. That's my dream event for you. You can do this, you can be this, and you can be more. Happy birthday.